Hey guys, today I'm kind of on a cooking kick because I need to bring some dessert to my work. And every week we have a meeting, all of us get together, we talk about what we're doing, where we're going to be going in the future. And my boss actually pays for all of our lunch, and then we all trade off every week bringing in dessert. So this week it's my turn to make dessert, but I'm in a kind of a conundrum because the bottom coil to my oven is broken, and so I can't bake anything at the right temperature and have it turn out right. So I'm trying to do some stovetop recipes, things that my family has made for a really long time that turn out absolutely fabulous. The first thing I made, which will probably be posted before this, was some peanut brittle, and it turned out really great. So today we're going to make my family's special hot fudge sauce, and this is something my family's made for a really long time. It's a really simple recipe. I'm going to give you the ingredients that you're going to need first. And the recipe I'm making, I've doubled. So I'm making 2 batches of this recipe, enough for me to bring to my lab meeting, and I'm going to serve it with some ice cream. But also I'm going to make enough to keep for myself and my boyfriend, but also to give some to my grandma and my mother, because everyone in my family loves this recipe. And when I was at the grocery store today, I picked up some ball jars, and they're the kind that you use for canning, and I'm just going to fill each one with a little bit of this sauce so that I can give it to some of my family members. So that's a really great way, if you're ever looking for gifts for people and you don't want to spend a lot of money, make some cookies or make some stuff like this. You can put them in little packages like this. I think I got 12 for $8 and the ingredients for this. So you can make a bunch of gifts for people at a really cheap, affordable cost. Alright, so the ingredients that you're going to need. You're going to need Baker's unsweetened baking squares. So they come in a box like this. You get 8 squares and you need 5 for one recipe, and since I'm making 2 today, you need 10 pieces. And since only 8 come in one box, you're going to need 2 boxes of this. You're going to need some evaporated milk. Now, don't be confused when you get to the aisle, because they also have condensed sweetened milk. You want evaporated milk. It says that on there. They sell a regular version and a fat-free version. I always opt for the regular one because this is a dessert. It's going to be kind of unhealthy anyways, and I want to make sure that it turns out right. So one recipe takes 1 can. I'm making 2 recipes, so I'm going to use 2 cans. You're going to need some vanilla. For one recipe, it's 1 1/4 teaspoons of vanilla. Since we're making 2, I'm going to use 2 1/2 teaspoons of vanilla. What else? You're going to need 1 stick, which is 1/2 cup of butter for one recipe, and 2 sticks of butter for 2 recipes. This is just salted butter. And then the last ingredient you're going to need is confectioners sugar, and this is also called powdered sugar, and it comes in a bag like this in the grocery store. Any brand will do. I used the local grocery store brand, and that was the one that was on sale today. One recipe takes 3 cups, and 2 recipes take 6 cups. So I've already measured out all of my ingredients. When you're making things like the recipe I made earlier and this recipe, it's really important to try to have everything ready on hand, because otherwise you're going to find yourself scrambling. And especially things where you're cooking sugars to specific temperatures, you want to make sure you have everything ready, because once you go past your temperature, it's too late. You can burn it or it won't turn out right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take the little squares of chocolate, and since I'm making 2 recipes, I'm taking 10 pieces. So I've unwrapped them and I'm going to put them in a pot. I'm going to turn that on. And then I'm going to add the butter. So I'm going to add 2 sticks of butter. Now this is something you want to pay attention to and keep stirring as you're melting these things down, because this chocolate can burn really, really easily, and you don't want it to burn. So I'm just going to add those things to the pot. And then I have a little spatula that I'm going to use to stir it. So that's what it kind of looks like. You can already see off to the side there, it's starting to melt. You just want to keep stirring it as you go. I have it sort of on in medium-high, I guess, in between medium and high on my stove. Now it actually probably would have been a little easier if I had cut the butter into pieces instead of putting the entire stick in there. That's kind of in hindsight, but I haven't made this recipe in quite a while. would be easier to stir it around. Now they're kind of these long logs that I'm trying to sort of rotate in the pan. So almost all of my chocolate is melted. The butter is pretty much all melted, and I'm stirring this really well because my mom has written on the recipe for me that you need to stir it constantly and pay attention to it because the chocolate burns very easily. Alright, so now I'm going to start adding my condensed milk and my confectioner's sugar. Does have a tendency to separate and look funny as you're cooking it like this, but there's no need to worry. It will all incorporate in the end and make a really nice, smooth, creamy sauce. Alright, now I'm going to add some more sugar. And I'm going to stir that. If you have this on too high, it will bubble and sort of splatter all over the place. I did make a little bit of mess here. I did stir a little bit too quickly with one of my little addition of confectioner sugar. And this can make your arm a little tired. It is a good amount of work to do all this stirring. This is kind of what it looks now. It's really nice and smooth and creamy. I'm just going to keep adding everything until it's all incorporated. There will be a recipe in the sidebar so that you can follow this step by step. I know sometimes it's a little harder as I'm verbalizing this. Sometimes I forget to say things, or I say things incorrectly. So I have it on a light boil now. You don't want this to be going too fast, otherwise it's going to really make a mess. And just a light boil for 8 minutes. I can tell that it's going to get a little bit more vigorous than I want it to, so I'm going to turn my heat down. So basically the recipe is you melt the chocolate in the butter, then you start adding your milk and then stir it all in, and then you add some of your sugar and then stir it in, and then you kind of alternate between those two stages until you have everything incorporated. Then you bring the sauce to a light boil, cook it for 8 minutes, and then we're going to turn the heat off. I'm going to add the last ingredient, which is vanilla, and then I'm going to let this cool, and then it will be ready to put in jars or to serve right away. I probably wouldn't serve it immediately after cooking this. I would let it cool just slightly, because otherwise it's just going to be this sort of gelatinous gooey mess. And I kind of like it a little bit better when it's a little thicker and more viscous. Right now it's going to be very, very liquidy because we're just cooking it and it's boiling. So I'm going to turn the heat off now, and I've already pre-measured my vanilla, and I'm going to pour that in there, stir it up. It's going to make the sauce bubble a little bit. It might separate slightly. You just keep mixing until everything is incorporated. So that's kind of what the final sauce looks like. It's nice and smooth and creamy. You can see it's slightly bubbling a little bit because the pot is still hot. What I'm going to do is let this cool for a little bit, and then I'm going to place it in some of my mason jars, which are going to be really easy for me to transport this to work. I've let my hot sauce cool, and I've placed it in some of these mason jars here. I'm going to take a couple of them with me to work to share with people and make some hot fudge sundaes. And this is a great way to make an affordable gift if you don't want to spend a lot of money. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is kind of what it looks like up close. You can see that it's really smooth and creamy, a nice thick hot fudge. And you can pop these in the microwave without the lid and the metal rim, because you can't put metal in a microwave. Anyhow, you can microwave the glass part, so that's what I'm going to do in order to warm this when I go to work tomorrow. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoy and you have a wonderful day.